Hello, I am Paul Henault for Simsbury Community Media. Today we are going to discuss public safety issues in Simsbury. Joining me today will be Simsbury Selectwoman Heather Goetz and our Chief of Police, Nicholas Boulter. During this program, we will discuss a few topics, including a history of public safety in Simsbury, accomplishments made for public safety to date, current public safety issues, traffic issues and controls, Simsbury and statewide efforts, goals for the future, and any other issues that come up during our discussion. First, let me give you a brief biography of our two guests. Heather Goetz is in her second term as a Selectwoman for Simsbury. She currently serves on several subcommittees, particularly the Public Safety Subcommittee. She has a very active volunteer record, including being president of Terriffill Elementary School PTO, chair of the Historical District, a member of the Simsbury Library Board, among many other volunteer positions. She is also a graduate of Boston College, has a degree from Cornell Medical School, and worked in the finance area for Goldman Sachs in London for 10 years. She and her husband have 3 children attending the Simsbury Public Schools. Chief Nicholas Boulter joined the Simsbury Police in 1999 as a patrolman. He moved through the ranks from detective, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and became chief in 2018. He also served briefly as Simsbury Town Manager from May to June 2023. He brings a lot of experience to us regarding policing and public safety. He has been an adjunct professor at Middlesex Community College. Chief has a BA in sociology from the University of New Hampshire, and he has a master's degree from Central Connecticut College in criminal justice. He and his family are also well entrenched in the local community. Welcome, Heather and Chief.
I look forward to a discussion today about public safety. Chief, why don't you give us a little history about public safety in Simsbury?
Okay, yes, thanks for having us. Prior to 1958, the public safety, at least from the law enforcement standpoint, was covered by the state police and by regional constables here. In 1958, the department was organized and we began a law enforcement police department that was responsible for caring for our community. And it started off with just a few officers, and then it has grown to where we are today with 42 police officers, 7 dispatchers, and animal control officer and some support staff.
Wow, that's great. Okay. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we've been doing currently regarding public safety?
Yeah. So public safety is a very wide range of efforts and responsibilities that we have. We respond to medical emergencies. We respond to traffic complaints. We do a lot of prevention, both in our schools and on our roadways. We collaborate with our fire department, with our ambulance service, with other police departments for regional efforts. We work with our appointed officials, our elected officials, and other employees throughout the town to try to make Simsbury as safe as it possibly can be.
Great. Okay, that sounds good. Heather, you're on the Public Safety Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is all about? Because a lot of people don't even know there's a Public Safety Subcommittee or what it entails.
Yeah, so the subcommittee, it addresses obviously all of the public safety issues and concerns of our town. It's quite a large group that makes up the Public Safety Committee. I'm hoping that I don't forget anyone. We have police, ambulance, and fire. Then we have Department of Public Works. We have social services. We have the Board of Ed. We have the Farmington Valley Health Department, the Visiting Nurses Association, Eversource, the Main Street Partnership, Emergency Management. So, there are a lot of groups that go into keeping our town safe.
That's a pretty big group.
It is, and we meet quarterly. And it's great. We receive updates from each group and, just discuss any kind of current issues that are taking place, and it's great to hear from
What
all
are some of the
departments.
current issues? What might be some of the hot topics that are discussed currently?
Yeah, so we actually meet next in a couple of weeks. So the last time we met was in June. So obviously a lot of the topics at the time were sort of summer concerns and issues. There's always the ever-growing bear population, and figuring out how to deal with that or live together happily. But also the Department of Public Works, they were working on improving crosswalk safety. We have markers that have been placed up along the ridge line to assist lost hikers. And with summertime, you always have an increased number of residents who are out cycling and walking, and just that whole public education on safety and, when it comes to drivers, also being vigilant and working on speed and, not being distracted. So pretty
which
much
is a
the
topic
concerns of the
we'll
time.
talk a little bit further about. So those are some of the things that are of importance. So, speeding, running red lights, stop signs, using cell phones while driving endanger everyone. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's latest statistics say that speeding alone killed 12,151 people in 2022. That's a very sobering statistic. The Fatality Analysis Reporting System also says that over a 2-year period, 13,627 cars were involved in fatal accidents caused by running stop signs. Chief, why don't you tell us a little bit about traffic safety in Simsbury? What are some of the things that our residents can look out for, or should do, or shouldn't do? So give us a little bit of information around that.
So we take a very broad view at addressing safety concerns on the road. So it's not just for vehicles, it's for pedestrians, it's for bicyclists, it's for everybody either using the roadway or in and around the roadway. And what has been very unique and I believe successful here in town is the collaborative approach on it. Although the police are responsible for a lot of the enforcement aspect, and we have officers who are out there who are running radar, who are looking for violations at stop signs and traffic lights. We also have our variable message signs out there giving people messages about allowing 3 feet for bicyclists, and school is starting in session, so be aware. But collectively, we look at our use of signage. We look at the roadway markings. We look at the engineering aspect of roads. So we have a local traffic authority group that meets every month, and we sort of tackle those larger issues that could better be looked at from the perspective of law enforcement, engineering, planning and development, and then the town manager's office. So we have that collective look at things. So we look at intersections, we look at how many accidents have occurred there or complaints about an intersection, and look to see, are we in compliance with the standards or guidelines established by the National Highway Safety Administration for signage and for markings in the roadway? Are our speed limits appropriate? And if they are not appropriate, or we don't think they're appropriate, we reach out to the state to look for guidance on how to change those. And then we look at, are there any engineering issues? So I'm not an engineer, but we have town engineers, and they will look at, is there a design that we can change or make better so we can reduce the amount of accidents?
So that's working with Tom Roy and his folks.
Tom Roy and Adam Kessler.
Yeah. Good. So just from a standpoint of little information here. So what's the most frequent ticket that's given out by your officers?
The most frequent ticket is speeding. Yeah, that's the most frequent moving violation ticket that we do have.
Yeah.
Followed by stop signs and traffic lights, the things that you identified, those things that generally can cause injury or serious injury to people and property damage.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when people are driving aggressively or distracted, often the reason for their reckless driving is they're running late to a meeting, they're running to an appointment, or they got to get the kids to practice, or some other reason, or they're on the cell phone usage. Obviously, you see people. So it'd be interesting. So if one of your officers stops somebody, what's the most frequent excuse they get for what the violation is? Yeah, that'd be interesting.
So there are two that are basically neck and neck, and you hit on both of those. One is the person is late.
Yeah.
They're late for wherever they're going. And the second one is they just weren't paying attention. So whether that means they were distracted by something like a device or conversation happening in the car, or they just were not paying attention. They were not aware of what the speed limit is. They were not aware that there's a sign that says no turn on red at the traffic light, or they weren't aware that there was a stop sign there just because they were not paying attention.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that. So, okay, so many towns and cities have solid strategies for dealing with public safety issues, whether it be combating traffic, combating, like we talked about distracted driving, or dealing with bicyclists, fatalities, to try to cut down on some of that. So can you recap maybe a little bit about what are some of the efforts that are being taken both in Simsbury and statewide? I know you've talked about some of those things, but there are things that are out there. I know your Facebook page oftentimes has things out there, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yep. So what I didn't mention beforehand about the sort of collaborative effort for traffic safety is also the private partners. So whether that is a group in town here, or it's a group such as Watch For Me Connecticut, which will provide us with like still images for our social media, sending out a message. And we used them recently this summer and fall to make people more aware of pedestrians crossing at crosswalks and wearing brighter clothing during the dark hours, things like that. We also have on occasion some initiatives that come from the state that will provide us with some additional funding for a specific type of enforcement, whether it's speeding on rural roads, which we mostly have here in town. In years past, there has been funding provided for seatbelt enforcement and distracted driving enforcement. So the town sometimes has that benefit of the state-funded programs, and that happens throughout the state of Connecticut. There are other towns out there that have joined such things as Vision Zero. They're looking for to collaborate like we have with many different groups to figure out what we can do to make things safer, with the understanding that accidents are all preventable, and how can we make our roadways more easily maneuvered for everybody, and that speed limits should be complied with, stop signs should be, traffic signals, and it's a combination of design and making those things readily apparent for people.
Yeah, okay, good. Heather, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about from the Public Safety Committee standpoint, all right? Now, many of the things that I think you mentioned a little bit earlier regarding the departments that are represented, fire, ambulance, highway, and a number of others. So from the standpoint of some of the things we've seen in town, as far as apartments, going in, the apartments that are going in, some of the schools, Latimer, I think, just got finished or is in the process of being finished. Open space, everybody wants the open space, and hikers and bikes and all that. So are these some of the things that when the Public Safety Committee gets together, Do they talk about how to work together? Particularly, Chief, you mentioned like the fire and the ambulance working together, but I think it's also important from what the town is doing. One of the things that it crosses over with what the Board of Selectmen discusses at some of their meetings. So it's not just confined, to public safety. But are those the things that they are concerned about? And are you also hearing from the general public regarding what they want done?
So there's a lot there in that question. I think that, it's a great question in that it's always important for our public to have an understanding of kind of how all of our public departments really stitch together when it comes to public safety. There's just so much coordination, collaboration, and communication that takes place all the time. We had that most recent wet microburst, and with that,
sure, up on the Winterset, Somerset, Musket Trail area, all right and around
there were over
there.
400 homes affected there,
Yeah.
and our team had to come together quickly, and they immediately set up a command post. They were out there focusing on life safety and getting the roads cleared. They worked around the clock to really try and keep our town safe. And that's one example of just sort of the efforts that come together when it comes to public safety. But there are a lot of...
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think the Board of Selectmen worked very closely with the state quickly to get the state in to also help with tree removal on some of the roads and do some stuff. I know I went around and all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's like 15 state trucks here helping out with our highway department.
Yeah, it definitely, was a big effort by all to kind of get us back to normal. I know some people, they're not back to normal yet, but getting us there.
Definitely be a while.
Yeah, it was quite a storm. But just on normal days, the joint effort of our departments working together, it's seen all the time, and sharing resources. We have our firefighters right now fire department who's working with social services on a Steps to Safety program. Our fire department has been assisting police with accidents. So there's always that joint effort. I'm trying to think of the other areas that you mentioned. But when it comes to Board of Selectmen, obviously, we set some policy goals, and public safety is always our number one goal. And when it comes to budget, it's always very important that we are setting aside funding so that we have modern technologies and proper staffing, proper equipment, cybersecurity in place.
Which is actually something, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a lot there as far as technology goes and things that can be used from a technology standpoint, not only but cybersecurity for towns and cities, because you've heard some where towns have been held for ransom unless they paid, to get all their information back about taxpayer, information and everything else, but also from a standpoint of technology for public safety, whether it be using some of the cameras that might be available, but also for various departments as far as being able to communicate together, get information out quickly, get information to other towns quickly that needs to be done. So the technology aspect, I think, is something that, there's a lot of discussion about about AI, and I think that's going to start filtering down to the towns and cities as well, how they can harness that. Maybe you've seen that, maybe not, but those are one of the things that I think is going to happen moving forward. So, okay. Well, let me talk a little bit about moving forward in public safety. Are there things that you see that are on the drawing board that you're not quite there yet, but that you want to accomplish in the future? Chief, I'll start with you.
Sure, thank you. So since 2006, we have seen a decline in the number of accidents in town, and I think there are a lot of factors for that. I would like to see that continue to decline. So we went from around 500 some odd accidents in 2006 to about 300 accidents in 2023. So I would like to see us moving in that direction. I know that the equipment, the vehicles that we're driving are getting better and better and safer, but along with that is we are becoming more and more distracted with that technology and other things that are happening. So one of our goals moving forward is to try to bring the attention back to driving, because I think we're going to see a definite increase, and we have over the past few years, of people using our roadways and our sidewalks, and lives are getting busier and busier. So we have to bring some focus back to careful, cautious, compliant driving. So that will be one of our goals. How are we going to do that? In addition to looking at all the things that we look at as far as design and signage, but how can we get that message out there better and look for that compliance?
Yeah. Yeah. Heather, are there things that you see that we might want to do?
Well, I think one of our bigger concerns is as our population grows, how do we grow and address the concerns that come with a growing population? So I think that's definitely something to look at. I also think times change. There are different types of threats come about. You talked about cybersecurity, technology, those sort of things. Just always really staying on top of that, and then just continuing to enhance our community policing and public education.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, from an education standpoint, that's important too, because when you talk about public safety and you talk about traffic control and driving, it's not just the teenagers that need to learn how to drive. It's also some people who have forgotten how to drive. And I see that, I'm sure we all see that all the time.
Yes.
And, it's not just a 17-year-old boy who's running a stop sign. It's the 70-year-old person who says, I don't need to stop. Boom, I could just take a quick right here, even though, you're about ready to go. And it runs everywhere in between. So I think that's important, to use all the tools, whether it's with the Board of Education or through our Aging and Disability Committee, and getting that word out, and just reminding people about, hey, there are certain ways you should drive, and don't be afraid to be courteous either, and let that person go or let that biker go, instead of saying, hey, I'm in a hurry, get out of my way. That happens. So I think that's very important. So as we go to wrap this up a little bit, what I'd like to give you the opportunity as well, because I've asked a number of questions, we've had some good discussions, but are there things that you want to communicate either to our audience or to myself that we haven't touched on before we go to wrap up?
Well, I guess just to reiterate those two excuses that people give us most commonly, is one, that they're late. So whatever may work for the driver out there to try to eliminate that as a reason for driving too fast or recklessly or putting somebody else or their own life in danger, see how we can not be driving because we're late. And then the second is either being distracted or not paying attention. And there are commercials out there right now about people putting down the phone, and a lot of people are driving with their phone, and they're scrolling through. They're not just trying to communicate with somebody. They're going through their social media pages. They're writing emails, all sorts of things. And the campaign right now, I believe that the state has been doing, is about there's no shame in driving while using your phone, and there really should be. It really should be. People should just put down the device or use the technology that's in your vehicle so it can be hands-free and really get back to the basics about driving. And as you mentioned, drive with courtesy and 15 miles per hour over the speed limit, 20 miles per hour over the speed limit will really not gain you a whole lot of time in the very end.
Right.
You're going to catch up to that vehicle in front of you, and then you're going to be stalled there. And we're all commuting, whether it's 5 miles to and from somewhere or 30 miles. The amount of time that you gain is not worth the extra speed that you are doing that you may not have time to brake for. So somebody running out into the street, a car stopping more quickly than you had anticipated, at 15 miles an hour, 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, it's going to be more difficult to stop and prevent that injury than just driving the speed limit and paying attention.
That's great. That's great. Heather, anything you want to add?
I do. I have a few things.
Okay, fire away.
One, our fire chief will be retiring in January, Jim Baldus, and I would like to just thank him for his years of service and dedication and welcome Captain Todd Myers, who will be joining us and taking his position. Additionally, the town will be putting out a public safety newsletter that'll begin in September for our residents, and that'll be quarterly following our meetings.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be a great thing for residents to look out for. But most importantly, I would just like to say that I have been very impressed with the dedication and commitment of our public safety team and employees. And they go above and beyond. And it really is the relationships that they have with each other and the communication that is most crucial in keeping our town safe. And I just give them an absolute A+ on that. So
Great. Okay. Well, thank you both for joining us today. I think this is great. Simsbury Community Media really likes to be able to bring to the public various topics that are of interest. And I think this is one that's very, very timely. We do thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you both again. Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.